voices in our heads now have a frequency. America's first competition talk show.
The hub is engaging.
Talk life.
Oh my God, it feels so good. Oh yeah. Oh, slow down. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
You know, it's tragic when you hear stories like this. About 2 years ago, there was a woman who went to the Magic Kingdom with her boyfriend, fiance at the time, and her two small children. And lo and behold, she was just minding her own business. She looked up and she was being groped by none other than the web-fingered Donald Duck. Was groping, and she filed a lawsuit against this, and then obviously this was no longer the most magical place on earth. I think she was looking for a place that was a world of fun, not a world of way, because as after we know, molestation does not have 6 flags. It is 1 flag. 6 flags is more fun. So we're gonna do that instead from here on out. But she was and first of all, the question I've got about the Donald Duck lawsuit is how do you grope with web?
Didn't he have on gloves? Does it count with gloves on?
I don't know.
Well, maybe they're the kind that you can feel through.
Maybe so.
Maybe he was using his quackeration.
It's gonna go nowhere but down. This is really gonna go under real bad, real quick. Speaking of this, we've got a.
Maybe he used his tail.
He could have. He's tailing her.
He used his tail to get under her tail.
Well, one good slap deserves the next, right? Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Like huge and heavy.
Here's the thing.
Maybe he's taking.
I bring this up to bring up a little more serious issue, only remotely more serious. But there is we back in the '60s. Let's really change hats here. Back in the '60s, we had the Civil Rights Act and we had the Civil Rights Movement, and we fought long and hard for equality in the workforce, for lack of racial you cannot discriminate based on race, based on ethnicity, based on religion, based on gender. Well, apparently now there are some folks, according to a new poll that was recently released from Newsweek, where over half of corporate hiring managers believe now that unattractive but qualified employees would have a harder time getting hired, and 2/3 thought looks would affect performance ratings. So in other words, we are having the next chapter in the Civil Rights Act now. Looks may be discriminating against you. Your own looks may be discriminating against you. And Sam, they say that I think we're going to have fat quotas before it's all over to appease the left.
Weigh-ins, baby. Weigh-ins.
Jessica, fat quotas at work?
I'm for natural selection, so I think the ugly should stay at home.
Wow. Okay. Now we're opening up a whole new can of worms.
Now, is this going to go into politics also? Because there are some fairly unattractive people in politics, and if they don't have influence because they're unattractive, maybe we should vote them out.
Well, there's a lot of ugly politicians.
Just saying,
it could be hurting them.
3 that come to mind like that.
Well, I can name about 9.
Are you talking like in the soul? Or are you talking?
I can name 10.
Well,
name that politician.
Here's the thing: they said that that it might affect performance ratings, and I guess they can only rate you on performance based on observations, right? So okay, and if you're so butt ugly that they can't even look at you, it's hard to make observations. So therefore, that might affect the skew. It's really hard to get an accurate reading.
What's the ratio of ugliness, though? That's what I'm looking for. Is it like?
And since beauty's in the eye of the beholder, how do you know? I mean, what is butt ugly and
what if it's a telephone operator?
That's true.
What if she just has a sexy voice?
It's funny.
I don't. So would I be unqualified for a telephone operator type position?
No, because you have too much authority in your voice. No, I don't think you can.
Yeah, you could still get away.
I could get away with it.
You get away with it. Yeah.
Little voice lesson.
There was an article that came out, and they actually said it was reversed for, I guess, more. I guess jobs that are tough in nature. For instance, prison guards and tow truck drivers. They actually hired people who weren't necessarily attractive versus those who were. So
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, they've got the whole thing that brought this up was the story of Marie Smith. She was a Hooters waitress, She was 5'8". She weighed 132 pounds. She was placed on involuntary weight probation until she could fit into a company uniform. At 5'8", 130. I know you're snickering, and every woman watching this right now is snickering, like, yeah, love to have that. But she was. They had small, smaller, and smallest were the only uniforms she had to choose from. And I swear, if they start instituting fat quotas at Hooters, they're going to keep it up for about 6 months, and they'll be able to. It'll start being a safe place for Southern Baptists to go after lunch, because, quite honestly, it won't exist anymore. Sam, I know you're Presbyterian. You're safe, but
No, I'm not Presbyterian.
Are you not?
No,
Catholic?
I'm not Presbyterian. No, I'm just a Christian.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I don't want
I
to
go
split
to
hairs.
a Baptist church. Go figure.
Unintentional consequences of that
I know.
last comment.
Well,
So, how far to an extreme could this be taken? It seems like it could be very very much be a Pandora's box.
How can they prove it,
Jessica?
How can they prove that you're too fat for the job? I mean, how can the fat person file a lawsuit? Gain
just
100
don't
pounds
hire
over-
them.
Well,
Just don't hire them.
That's probably what's gonna
that's the way it
happen.
should
That's
be. I
probably
mean,
what's gonna happen.
unless you're in a position where not position, but if you're in a job like a mining job and you've got to slide into a tight spot, well then if you gain weight while you're on the job, then you can't do the job any longer. But you can still. I mean, some guys like some booty.
And
I think they should just get some more.
Certain airlines, like, once upon a time there was an airline that used to make their flight attendants weigh in before they came to work to make sure that they weighed the appropriate amount. So, I mean, if it's the criteria of the company, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
See, I just think there's no way that you can enforce this, and quite frankly, it undermines some. Quite frankly, it undermines some businesses that there are different folks. How can I put this lightly? That are qualified for different industries and different types of businesses. And woe be it from us to tell a business how to operate and how to appeal to a clientele that it's determined it wants to appeal to, that it wants to build its business around that. They say in here, this article, all too often discrimination based on appearance, like other forms of bias, rests on inaccurate stereotypes. I'm sorry, my eyes don't deceive. Either you're hot or you're not.
Right.
And there's how do you
If I go to Hooters,
stereotype?
I want to see something nice, because that's the premise of Hooters, is seeing something nice while you eat.
No, it's about the wings.
And when
dude.
I-
it's all about the wings.
Oh, really? I never.
It's
had
about the
wings
wings.
there.
Yeah, you really need to be, get your mind out of the gutter. Jessica?
When I go to Swinging Richards, I expect prime meat, prime cut. Yes.
Beef.
Beef.
Well, for dinner.
Not too much beef.
If you're outside
I
the
don't
metro
go there.
area, we're not going to tell you anything more about that. Here's the thing, though. This is an interesting thing here. They're talking about, for example, women at Reno's Harris Casino, they gave this illustration, are required to have their hair teased, curled, or styled. This woman, Darlene Jesperson, who is a bartender with an outstanding performance record, I might add, I bet, lost her job, and then she cast a lawsuit against the company on the grounds of sex discrimination. To me, no one's forcing her to work there. Nate?
No, not at all. I mean, if they want you to be pretty, you gotta be pretty.
She wasn't having enough sex.
I don't get into their business operations. I just say ultimately at the end of the day, we should not be messing in someone's business to this
That's right.
level.
I'm telling you from personal experience. I used to work in the service industry, and at certain places, men could not have facial hair.
Yeah.
And that was just the way it was.
And in a sex-crazed society, all this really amounts to is an attack on capitalism, because everything would shut down. We'll see you tomorrow on the Hub.